Hola, it's your friend Maggie. All right, so today it's going to be an installment in our series that I've called Educate, Educate Yourself. As a new expat, a new retiree, when you come here to Panama, I want to give you information that is practical as to how do I do this? How do I do that? So today it's all about the money, the moolah. How do we use money in Panama? And how important is that in your relocation? Duh, it's super important, right? Because if we don't have money, we can't stay here because we can't work. We can do little side hustles. If I have time, I'll touch upon that. But one of the main reasons that you moved here might be because Panama uses the US dollar. So I'm just going to give you a little snapshot as to how Panama ranks on the financial stage and your level of comfort after you've chosen to be here to spend your retirement savings, your investment. Okay. So financial planning for the expat. That's what we're going to talk about. So you need to know what's the financial outlook, what is the financial picture here, and how can I integrate myself so I can use whatever coins I have in the most efficient way possible. Are you ready? Okay, cool. If you are new here, if this is the first time you're seeing me, my name is Maggie. I am a retired nurse practitioner, and I have been retired here in the beautiful country of Panama since January 2023. I am also the creator of SWRA, Single Women Retiring Abroad, a group of sassy older ladies like myself who have made the conscious decision to retire here in this beautiful space, reinvent ourselves, create community. But the ultimate goal of SWRA is to create a newer model of aging abroad that is sustainable and affordable. So if any of this sounds intriguing, interesting to you, I invite you to give the video a thumbs up, like it, share it, and subscribe. Come on. All right, I'll wait. Hit that subscribe button. It costs you nothing. It is free. And my subscribers are pretty good. Once in a while, I'll have someone who will say something a little odd, but I am so grateful for all of you, my friends, my family. We have a community here, and for that, I'm super, super grateful. And also, shout out to our channel members. We get together. Ooh, look at that. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 o'clock, and we kind of work on this, 67. Looks pretty good, I would say. Listen, I am humble, but I'm saying because I pay attention, I don't look too bad. Could I look better? Of course. All right, I digress. So Panama, is in Central America. Panama is kind of joins or is in between North America and South America. Okay. So we have Costa Rica to the west and Colombia to the east. We're not doing a history lesson today about Panama. I've done that in other videos, but you probably are curious as to what is Panama's financial standing in the world. This is a developing country. So don't come here with stars in your eyes. That's one of my favorite lines that says, don't have super unusual expectation. The country has its challenges like your country has its own challenges. So don't come here bad-mouthing Panama. Some of us get a little bit ticked off when that happens because you did your homework, you came here, and I did say in my last video, seeking paradise is a myth. Panama is no paradise, but it's a beautiful, beautiful country with a great soul. And we are just humble and grateful to being allowed to be here. Te amo, Panama. So one of the reasons you might have chosen to come here is because we use the US dollar. And yes, we do. There is no conversion. You don't have to worry about being taken advantage of. You have to always calculate the rate in your head and it changes on a daily basis. We don't have that issue here. It's easy, okay? So you bring your cash, and of course, people always say, how much cash should I bring? Well, you have a limit. I think it's $10,000 in cash that you could bring. Why would you want to do that? Just do an ACH transfer. All right, we'll talk about banking in a second. But yes, we use the US bills, 20, 10s, 5s, 1. Yes, that's what they use here. But chances are, if you go and you buy something and you give somebody a $5 bill and you buy something for $2, chances are when they return you the change, they're going to give it to you in Balboas. This is the only Panama coin that I know of. There may be like a nickel, I think I've seen, but this is the $1 coin called the Balboa. All right. A lot of things in Panama are called the Balboa. The cafe next door to me. Oh no, it's not Balboa, it's Boulevard. But I think there's a lot of history about the name. But you're going to get the Balboa, that's $1, okay? And I think that's the only thing you need to know. You can use your credit card here with no issues. When you come as a visitor or even as a resident, even after you have your cedula, which is your ID card, then you can use your credit card, whether you are a visitor or you are a local. And there are no fees associated with you using your credit card here or your debit card, whatever. I don't have any experience with Discover, American Express. I don't know. So you may want to ask if you're traveling here, call your credit card company and ask them. But Visa, MasterCard, no problem. The problem you run into in Panama is if you're going to be using the ATM. I remember being in Spain and I had to use my credit card at the ATM. I got the money, but there is a fee associated for using the ATM. You pay fees at home sometimes to use. If you go to a grocery store and then you want to use the ATM, then they charge you. Publix charges me when I did that. Okay, charged me in the past, not anymore. But if you don't have a bank account, okay, that's another video. If you don't have a local bank account and you still have your bank at home and you want to use your credit card and you go to the ATM, yes, there's going to be a charge. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, now this is my local bank card, okay? My Benismo card. But if I'm using my regular Bank of America or whatever card, I am limited to about $250 per day. And each time I withdraw, there is a $6.50 charge. I remember being here one year visiting, and I had to get some cash to get some food because I wanted a little fonda, and they said no, they didn't use the credit card because they get charged. So I needed $20, and it was going to be $26.50, and I'm like, I'm going to use Uber Eats instead. So I used Uber Eats, then, well, I still had to pay a tip or something, but it was still cheaper than the $6.50. Now, people who live here, maybe they have a visa that does not allow them to have a ID card, national ID card for them to open a bank account, even though that's not required, and that's another thing we can talk about later on. If they are going to be using their credit card, let's say they need $1,000, that 4 withdrawals that they have to do 4 days in a row, right? And then that's 650 times 4, that's $26. So what is being recommended these days is to open a Schwab account at home because apparently I am told Schwab will reimburse you your ATM fees on a monthly basis. So you ought to look into that. I do not have a Schwab account, so I can't speak intelligently from experience. Okay, so now that you know, we use the US billetes, we call them here, the bills, And we use the coins as well. But now you know there is something called the Balboa, which is typically Panamanian. I have a drawer full of coins from all my travels. Every time I go in, I'm like, where was that one? You know, that's a euro. Where's that one? It's like, it adds up. Okay, so now that you know that, if you're curious about Panama and its economy, the most, um, the biggest sector in Panama that brings in money into the country is the service sector, tourism, financial services. You've heard me say before that Panama is a financial center. Lots of people, corporation businesses have their money being, they park their money here. We have people from all over the world who are doing like some assignments here. They're here for 2, 3 years. So we have people from all over. If you go to like a social event like Internations, you find people from all over Denmark and Germany, from all over Africa, lots of South Africans here in my building, lots of French Canadians, lots of Colombian, Venezuelan. So the service sector, that would include also the Panama Canal, all the ships that go through that carry all the cargo that goes in and out, and they get charged by weight and size. The Panama Canal is a good moneymaker for the country. And since it was returned over to them, and we're not going to go into the sensitive subject of what the threats were in the beginning of this year, blah, blah, blah. But the canal has been managed very well by Panamanians. And last year, we had somewhat of a drought, and the water level in that canal area was really worrisome because it was low. So they had to do some scrambling, limiting the weight of the ship that could go through. But they rose to the challenge and they fixed whatever it was. But this year, we're making up for that because there is a lot of water, a lot of rain. So I think I was reading this in the first quarter of this year, the projected income from the canal was up. So good job, Panama. Good job. And I'm sure they hire a lot of people. So tourism is doing good because of everything happening over there. People getting scared about being stopped or whatever. I think for Easter, I went to Semana Santa. I went to Good Friday service and it was packed. So I was like, where are you from? Oh, Canada. Where are you from? New Zealand. Where are you from? So lots of people. So we're getting a lot of influx from those countries who have concerns about, who. So tourism is a big part of the economy. And also the president here had created a program with Copa Airline, which is our national airline here. So when people, because Panama, the airport here in the city is like a jump off point. So if you wanted to go to Europe, you could just cross the Atlantic, is it the Pacific? The Pacific, and go all the way straight to Europe. You go to Africa, and I mean and you go down south. You could go to South America. So and the Caribbean, right? So Panama is well positioned to benefit from tourism. So what the program was is that if somebody, let's say, is coming from, let's say, New York, and they're going to Brazil, but they're going to stop here in Panama and then move on to the next leg of their trip. And they said with the airline, why don't you let them stay here for 8 hours and let them go out in the city? So they come. You see them at the mall, pushing their carry-on, they're buying, they're shopping. Good job. What else do we have that produces, logistics, of course, with the canal. Lots of containers go through back and forth. Tourism, lots of food. And of course, you have agriculture, right? Maybe not such a big sector, but still, we export a few things. What else? Now, we had the mines that got, you know, they stopped operation. They had all this the protests and all that. So now we're talking about unemployment. So because, they're just coming off of COVID. I know it's 2025. You may think it's enough time for them to recover, but remember, this is a small country. It's a developing country. And of course, Panama actually did better in the recovery from COVID than some other countries, okay? Because they manage their infections much better than a lot of other countries. We're not going to go into the vaccine and all that. It's a fact. Okay. So it's done well in recovering from that. But still, the unemployment from the mines being shut down, that's jobs, that people that are not being, filled. And if you've been watching the news, most recently we had those riots in Bocas del Toro because people were upset about now I don't hear anything about it. They were so upset about the law, the Social Security Act that the president had to do something about. The teachers were in the street. Cricket now. It's like, I wasn't even thinking about it until I haven't heard anything from that. But because of the disruption that they were putting trees on the road, the trucks couldn't go through, which they do a lot when they're protesting. Chiquita Banana, which was a large employer in that particular area, just packed up and left. So what happened to those jobs? So the unemployment ticked up to like between 6 and 8%. But a little bird told me I heard that they're working something for Chiquita Banana to come back. So when you are a developing country and you don't have, deep pockets like over there, when you have something happen, you feel it quicker and deeper. And I think that's what's happening. In the news, they talk a lot about, youth unemployment. People talk about the corruption. I used to hear the cab drivers when I used to come and say, okay, tell me, because I'm always asking questions, what's happening? They talk about the corruption. You can have the degrees and blah, 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 but then the job will go to a family member. I am not making a judgment. I'm just saying what I read. Okay. So from a financial standpoint, according to the grading financial gurus that grade economies of countries, Panama is in good standing. Okay. We do have a large amount of debt. I was reading a minute ago. So they're projected, the Moody's and all these other financial rating entities, that their projected growth here in Panama for 2025 are 3.7%. That's better than some other countries. Okay, so that should give you a sense of comfort that the country is not going down, down the tube. And also, but we have a debt of about 54.6 billion. So the debt ratio to the income, and that's how you know how stable a country is, right? So we don't want to have our debt up here and our income down here. Just like for your personal balance sheet, that's what you need to have. Income statement, we got to balance it out. So now that you know that Panama is in fairly good standing, another reason that we may have come here, not just because of the dollar, that could be one, but one major reason is improve quality of life, the sun, the beach, lots of nature. Yes, great. But cost of living is one of the major reasons you are here and I am here, that you can stretch your money a little bit easier. How do I determine? Okay, before I go any further, can you please give the video a thumbs up, like it, share it, and then subscribe? Okay, I'm gonna give you 2 seconds. Hit the subscribe button. Come on, hit it, hit it, hit it. Thank you so much. But anyway, what are some things that we look at and we say, oh, my Social Security check can go a little further? Rent, food, transportation, medical care. Pretty much because we don't spend money on clothes. I've had these things for like 3 or 4 years, and I come here, they're the perfect thing for me to wear. They keep me cool. I'm not hot. People, we don't spend money on clothes here. We don't, because we don't care that somebody's looking and criticizing what we wear, how we look. Nobody cares. I told you about your body. You exercise and you keep your body because it's good for you to do so, but not because you worry about somebody saying, oh, her belly is big. Oh, her butt is this. Nobody cares, relaxes. Okay. So, how does your rent here now, compare to your rent over there? And I think in one video, I'm going to do a comparison of my budget in Florida versus my budget here. I'm paying more for rent here than I did at home, because when I bought my home in 2013? I put down a large deposit because I had just finished selling my business. So my rent is very affordable, like $1,000. Should say my mortgage, it's still about that. But the bad thing is that I still have a mortgage, so no bueno. And when I went to the divorce, that was something. Anyway, we're not gonna go into that TMI, but I do still have a budget, but it's very comfortable, okay? But at my age, 67, I need to hurry and eliminate that. But that's what I was trying to sell my home, and it didn't sell. So those were one of the surprises of retirement, right? That you still have a mortgage. Who wants to do that? That wasn't planned. But life happens. And then we just have to move on. So my rent here was about $1,500 a month. But it's in a very nice area. I'm safe. I have 24-hour security, and I don't mind paying. You you get what you pay for. Okay? Now, if I could not afford that, I know I could find a one bedroom. I have a two-bedroom now. I could find a one bedroom for about $1,000. I know that. And I could pretty much get a building, not in this area I'm at, but in another area, not as, I don't want to say it's fancy, but I could find an apartment for $1,000. Okay. My electric bill right now, using a lot of fans, is $50 a month. So you can control, and we'll talk about that in another video, the things you can do to control your electric bill in the city. If you're outside of the city, it could be $5, $10. Okay. My cell phone is about $30 a month. And I have a Panama number, which you should have. And that's another video. Okay. You need a local number to do business here. Business meaning services. Let's see. Cable is about $48. Cable and internet, $48 a month. That's better than what I was paying over there. I think I was paying, forgot this dish or this other DirecTV. I think at one point I was paying like $150 a month, but I was barely home, and I was like, why am I paying this? So I canceled that, yeah, because if I want to watch a movie, I can watch it on my laptop right now. But I like to have the cable here because I keep the TV on pretty much during the day, so I can keep my Spanish going and watch the news and know what's going on. Let's see what else. Food. Food for me, and I will take you shopping with me, one of those videos. I would say between 45, 50, at the most, I would say $60 if I want to average it out for the month. So that's $250 a month, for example. All right, so let's say you had $1,000 rent, you're paying $50 for internet, telephones, $80, um, cable, so another $150, that's $1,150, and then $250 for food, that's what, 1,400, right? 1,400. And we always tell you, oh, transportation, don't forget transportation. If you like to take Uber everywhere, you're going to pay about $100 a month. I don't. I'm a card holder. I have my my Metro card. I go on the bus and the subway, and then um, Uber is my last choice. So I spend about maybe $50 a month, right? It's up to you. It's up to you how you manage. So 1450. And then we want you to keep a cushion on the side for you to go see your doctor for your eyes, get your teeth cleaned, that kind of stuff. That's another $100, maybe $200 on the side. So we're talking about $1,500, $1,600. You could. But to me, it's still a little bit tight. You need a little bit more cushion, okay? So what you want to do is look how much income you have coming in, tighten as much as you can, because in that budget, you're going to have to budget for your trips back home. So however you want to save maybe 250 a month to put in a fund, or a line in your budget to say, okay, maybe twice a year I'm going to go see the grandkids or my kids. You got to budget for that, sis. Okay, so when you say $1,600, just your expenses, but what about all the other stuff? The unexpected. This gentleman talked about how he was in the hospital for 2 days and had an unexpected $850 bill. You had to be prepared for that. So even if you have your credit card, like I tell you, to go in there and whip it out, but you got to pay it back, right? You got to pay it down. So that's why when I tell people, you're looking at a budget of about $2,000 to $2,500 a month to be comfortable and not having to stay awake at night and worry about the what ifs, the what ifs. Because people here don't play around their rent. When the rent is due, it's due. I've been here almost 2 years in this apartment, and there was one month because you have your date, and then you have 5 days grace period for you to make your payment. And the way we make the payment is a direct transfer from your bank account to your landlord's bank account. That's the best way to do it. People who have to go to the ATM 4 or 5 times. Plus, you're exposing yourself and carrying cash around. And you know what I say about crime. I've been bitten. So, all right. So it's still about $2,000, $2,500 a month. I would recommend that you budget for to come to Panama and live comfortably. If you're going to move into this apartment that this lady is talking about, 450, just even can imagine any apartment in Panama City at 450 that I would want to live in. I can't. I can't fathom in my head. Okay. But 1,000, I think it's durable. Even 950, I've seen some 950, 900. Maybe not in areas that I want to be at, but it's your choices, no judgment. Okay. But what I'm most worried about for us is the cushion for the unexpected. The people who get sick ended up having to be in the hospital, and then you have costs associated with it. I'm not going to talk about medical insurance in this video because I have talked about it ad nauseum, okay? And if you have questions, more questions, you can book a call with me. So this video was about, first of all, telling you that yes, we use the American money here. You don't have to worry about that. I was watching Rick and Halisi earlier, and they're talking about the decline and everything that's coming. You know what? I don't know. Maybe we'll all live in a commune or something. We need to start growing our own food so we can have a little farm and we can all eat, yam and manioc and yuca and all those, and boil some leaves and all you can do is prepare, and then the rest is up to God. We have no control over the economy. We have no control over the feds and what they do to the interest rate. I have this house over there. God knows if and when it's going to sell. I cannot afford to keep losing sleep over things that I have no control over. What I need to do is live in an apartment that I can afford, watch my budget. Oh, one thing we didn't mention is social events, right? So if your budget is tight, you got to watch how much you eat out, how much you spend on going out with the girls, and got to tighten up, sis. We got to stop hanging out with the Joneses. Some people are way better off than us. They have some, there's a couple here, they're financial planners. I'm sure they trade, they do all kind of stuff, which I have no understanding of. They make money, but me, I don't. I'm a healthcare person and a cook, and I don't make any money with all my cooking. Although I wondered, I wish somebody would say, "Oh, she cooks all these wonderful food. How about if I put you on my cooking show? It would be nice. Give me a little change." A lot of us are doing some side hustles because I told the ladies and my sisters and whoever wants to hear that whatever is coming, we need to be ready for it. You need to have multiple pockets, money coming from different sources of income, multiple. And another surprise, I said in my last video, I did not think I was going to have to do that. You know what? I probably should do a video about what I thought retirement was going to be like. Was going to be fun, 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 fun. And then boom, no, not really, not really. Not really. It's like life is going on as if, you were not retired. The only difference is that you're not clocking in and out and somebody's not telling you what to do. So if you do a side hustle, it's because you want to, it's based on your skill set and something that you love to do, and you can making a little bit of change from it because you're not expecting, oh, what is the going rate? No, because you're not being hired by somebody else. So you can afford to take a lower salary. It's not even a salary, right? So I wanted to kind of touch on the budget so you kind of know, and also give you information about Panama that financially, Panama is in a okay position. You don't have to worry that somebody is going to come here and shoo you out of your apartment as long as you keep paying your bills and put you in a position that you do not depend on Social Security alone. That one is a danger zone for us retirees. And that's why we're looking at doing side hustles. And there's no shame in the game. No shame. If you're in a position, sis, you have survivor benefits, you have this, you have that, you had great investment. I'm so happy for you. So happy for you. But just like when I was back in the States, the majority of my seniors were not in that position. My patients who were able to still remain in their fancy homes, they were far in between. The mass majority were like from one social security check to the other, and maybe a little pension as a teacher, which is not a whole lot. So they have to watch their pennies. Reality, reality. All right, sis. So I hope you enjoyed this video. And this was part of our Educate, right? Educate, educate yourself, that you understand what you are getting yourself into, that Panama is paradise, but it's not paradise. You still have to have your eyes open and make wise decisions. All right, guys. So I will see you on Thursday. That video is going to be it's not going to be in this series. So on Mondays, I do Educate videos, and on Thursdays, it's going to be about general stuff, retirement and self-improvement and blah, blah, blah. Because, we are in a perpetual sense of self-development, right? The better, best version of ourselves. Who said retirement meant the end? I don't know. Somebody said that, they were lying to you. All right. I'll talk to you soon. God loves you. You know I love you. Au revoir la prochaine. Bye bye.